This is the world according to Jen and Carolyn.
Happy Sunday or some such bullshit.
I only know it's Sunday because I lost Mario to football.
Oh, yeah. I lost me to meth. Yeah, football, dude. I've been putting Bill to work today and doing things around the house, and he's been very compliant.
Sunday's chore day.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yesterday was some chore day, too, and some volunteering at my kid's school, and came home with a giant balloon arch, and I don't even know, man. I'm just like... I hate balloons. Let's start with that.
That's right, you do.
They're so bad for the environment. And we did a nice thing. Like, our grade hosts the confirmation for the 8th graders, Catholic school. And we got this really nice, not a balloon arch, but like 2 pillars. Mm-hmm. And we set something up so people could take pictures.
Mm-hmm. It should have been 3 for the Holy Trinity.
Right. I know. What were we thinking? This is what happened was when you have me involved, and I'm not Catholic at all. And so we couldn't just leave them at the school for decoration. The principal was like, no, you got to get them out of here. And I was like, well, fuck. So $150.
Oh, damn.
For a hour-long event. And barely anybody took pictures with these stupid balloons. And so I'm cramming them in the back of my car. Like, I have a small SUV and I'm fucking cramming balloons in. And I'm like, God damn it, I just want to go home. I just want to
then you can't see.
Yeah, it's only a 5-minute drive. But anyway, they're now sitting in my garage, and we are going to have to put them up when we make our promotional TikTok videos
we're
later.
on it.
Because what else am I going to fucking do with that? At least they haven't gone to waste.
Just don't pop them in front of me. I hate that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you can't let them go.
They're all going to end up in a landfill anyway. I fucking hate balloons.
Yeah.
So anyway, my tirade against balloons is done.
What else do you hate today, Jen?
I hate what's going on in our country. That's pretty consistent. What's happening in Minneapolis is frightening. The shooting of what was his name? Alex Peretti, I believe, ICU nurse who was shot and killed. Works for the VA whilst protecting a fellow protester, a woman who had been violently pushed to the ground by a Border Patrol agent, and he interceded. He legally was had a permit to carry a weapon. He did not pull his weapon, discharge his weapon. It was on his hip. All he had in his hand was a phone, and he was shot and killed. Yep. And that just happened yesterday. And so we're processing everything that coincides with how awful that is, how awful everything that's going on there and throughout our country is, and trying to find our place in pushing back and taking a stand and trying not to fall into this like pit of despair and helplessness that I feel like so many of us are in right now.
Well, because what are you going to think, when you see things like that happening to this gentleman, to Renee Good, you start thinking, oh, I guess I shouldn't go to protests.
Yeah. And I can't even exercise my First Amendment right because I'm afraid of being murdered.
Right.
By a goon squad, by essentially the modern day Gestapo. Like,
who are government sanctioned.
Yeah. They're government, they're Gestapo. Like it scares the shit out of me, dude. And it is absolutely and totally surprising to me, but shouldn't be, knowing the composition of this country, that the negative comments that we get on YouTube, we don't get negative comments really on TikTok anymore. We've got a really strong community of almost 8,000 people, but there where people are, unless they're bots, defending Donald Trump. And, again, twice it happened this weekend where 2 people are like, Donald Trump has never been found guilty of anything related to like sex crimes or sexual assault. I'm like, do you guys not know about E. Jean Carroll? He was found guilty of sexual battery and defamation and owes the woman like $83 million. And that was just recently upheld.
A lot of convictions.
Yeah. And let's not talk about the other ones.
Right.
Which I get it. That was 2 consenting adults. But using campaign money to silence somebody that you're having an affair with is not cool. Yeah. He can no longer do business in the state of New York.
Yeah. And those are just the people who are over 18.
Right.
Let's not even talk about all the ones that are under 18.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's really that difficult for you to believe that somebody who's done all of these atrocious things, including sex crimes, like, it's hard for you to believe that he didn't at minimum know what was going on with Epstein. And at maximum, which I believe is the case, wasn't participating in some capacity. Give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah.
If you believe that, I got a bridge I can sell you.
Well, not just a part of it, maybe was at the top of it.
Yeah.
Is now what's being alleged.
I mean, of what's been released.
Yeah.
Only of what's been released, which is approximately 1% of the files, motherfucker has been mentioned no fewer than 1,500 times. Yeah. Now, I know there are a lot of names in there, but he is mentioned very specifically.
Yeah.
And continuously.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, you know the fucking rest, man.
Well, and it's, again, it's which is worse, that they're oblivious and uneducated to what this is. That would actually make me feel better. Or that they know exactly what's happening and they don't care.
Yeah.
And that,
or that they like it. Worse yet, they think it's great.
Worse is that they like it. And that these people, the humans that we see just as our fellow Americans, are not fellow Americans to them. They are vermin.
Yeah.
They are less than.
Right.
They are, again, the people who don't believe in empathy have no empathy when they see a child being taken.
I know.
By ICE.
I know.
I mean, it's surprising to us. And that shows how little we know about the history of what we're dealing with, which I think is a great segue.
I think it is. Because today we're going to talk about the U.S. today and the lessons that we don't appear to have learned, at least not all of us, from Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. You know, the U.S. right now in 2026, we're not Nazi Germany yet. But, history doesn't only warn us through identical repetition. It warns us through patterns. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There are early signs. Nazi Germany didn't become Nazi Germany overnight.
No.
It took years. Mm-hmm. It took, social dynamics that reoccur under different conditions, that are playing out now that took place then.
Yeah.
And so we are going to ask a very difficult but important question today. What happens when we compare the U.S. today, not to Nazi Germany at its end point, but to Germany in the years before it became Nazi Germany? Because the tragedy of the Weimar Republic was not that Germans woke up one morning and chose dictatorship. Mm-hmm. It was that many believed this can't happen here. Mm-hmm. And so we're seeing that all the time in people pushing back on what we post on social media and saying, you're being hyperbolic, you're being dramatic. Yeah. And it's like, you are not a good student of history, my friend.
Well, and also, I think I mentioned this later in the podcast, but, being Jewish and having been taught so much about Nazis and the Holocaust, some of the information that's in here about the Nuremberg laws, I had no idea.
Interesting.
And that would have been really, and again, I went to many, many Jewish institutions and that were also, in my opinion, Zionist connected.
Of course.
And I believe that is probably why America was not depicted the way it is. Mm-hmm. And the way it was and the way it is still today. Because that would have been a really great conversation when you're talking to young children about the Holocaust and all this stuff. It was very much said as Germans were bad. The U.S. was the savior. Mm-hmm. Look what we came in and did. And I remember my mom telling me that she used to go to the movies as a young kid and they'd have these little Metro Goldwyn Mayer were doing these little newsreels.
Yes.
And there's one where they show, look at all these Jews in their camps.
Oh,
it's
no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And these were produced by Hollywood.
We tried to do that with Japan, with the Japanese, too.
It's all the same. So you've got entertainment, which always you hear a lot of deep shit happening. But my mom was the first one actually to say to me, no, Americans knew what was going on.
Yeah, we did.
They knew, and they didn't want to do anything. And I remember being like, well, why didn't they say that in Camp Tawonga? Why didn't you say that? Sorry, Camp Tawonga.
Well, they're not teaching you the radical aspects of this, nor are they saying, and I say this as somebody who has tons of family in Israel, right now, Zionists in Israel are there's a lot of similarities to what happened in not just Nazi Germany, but in apartheid South Africa.
Yes.
What's going on is apartheid, and it's awful. Yep. And we more than anyone should know better. And I'm paraphrasing Einstein, but he said something along the lines of like, you know, let's make sure that we don't do to the Jews to the Palestinians what the Nazis did to us. Mm-hmm. Einstein, as far as I know, was no Zionist.
No.
And so, you know, I think those parallels need to come across no matter who you are and how much you think like, oh, we would never behave like Nazis, even when you were literally persecuted and murdered by these people. It's even more alarming that you're now emulating that behavior.
Mm-hmm. The parallels are endless here.
They are.
Christians and MAGA Christians, excuse me,
right,
who, you know, are not behaving in the way we know, you know, true Jesus to be.
Well, look at what the Chinese do to the minority Muslim population, the Uyghurs. They a lot of them are like being forced to participate in slave labor. Another reason not to buy fast fashion, because it's cotton. That's what they're doing. They're forcing these people to, you know, process cotton, I believe. And they're literally slaves.
Jeez.
They're a Muslim minority in China. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll send you this thing that I watched recently about fast fashion. And it goes into not just, you know, the ethics of it, too.
Yeah. We've been off that for a while, though. Jen and I love, and I think everything I am wearing is secondhand.
Nice.
Actually, yeah, even my shoes.
Yep.
Are from Poshmark.
Yep. That's one way to make a difference, y'all. See, it seems so small. Yeah. But Carolyn and I have now pivoted to buying almost exclusively used clothing.
Yeah.
We do not want to be a part of the fast fashion like consumption where the majority of it ends up literally rolling up on the shores in, I can't remember which country in Africa, but it's the same country in, I believe, West Africa, where the slave trade was fucking predominant. And so it's really a disgusting like metaphor to have all of this fucking cotton rolling up on these folks' shores. It's anyway, I digress. It is all connected. But anyway, let's talk about Weimar. I'm just going to say Weimar instead of Weimar. Germany, and how it was a democracy under strain. So to understand the comparison, we have to begin before Hitler had power, right? We got to go back. We got to go back to Germany after World War I. So it was a constitutional democracy. It was highly polarized. It was totally economically unstable. And there was a deep distrust of institutions. I mean, if you remember from, God damn you, my iPad's doing something weird. If you remember the pictures in history class of like Germans burning money to keep warm because money had no value after World War I. Like inflation was just
going to be soon.
Yeah, inflation was just out of control. So it had fatal vulnerabilities, right? So the emergency powers under Article 48 gave the German president emergency powers to suspend civil liberties and rule by decree. Bypassing the Reichstag, which is Germany's parliament, in times of serious disturbance or threat to public order. Sound familiar? A provision intended as a safety valve, but ultimately misused to undermine democracy and pave the way for Hitler's rise by allowing governance through presidential decree rather than legislation. Just swap out decree for executive order. And
literally.
You got our system. So, there were fragmented political parties, courts that remained loyal to old elites, media ecosystems increasingly were partisan. We're seeing that right now, right? Yep. Most importantly, many Germans totally lost faith that democracy could ever deliver stability.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we're on the precipice of people thinking that right now. And in times of great despair, in times of economic uncertainty, people start to turn, history shows us this, toward strong men, toward authoritarianism. It's creepy. So historian Timothy Snyder notes that democracies don't collapse because people hate freedom, but because they come to see it as ineffective.
So true. Right? You and I have said, where's Congress?
Yep.
What y'all doing right now?
And then I'm jumping ahead here because in big, bold letters, I wrote economic anxiety and status panic are a key driver of authoritarian movements. It's the way it is. It's status loss.
Yeah.
So right now we're seeing white people, white men in particular, that's my chair, not my ass, you guys. Panicking about These mics are so sensitive. Panicking about
pick up a fart.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, it picks up me breathing.
My farts.
I'm trying really hard to change the way I breathe because it's hard to edit these breaths out.
Oh, you must hate me then.
The fact, no, I'm worse than you. So anyway, we're seeing that right now, right? White men.
Oh yeah.
Losing status or fear of losing status. Economic instability, people having difficulty buying the bare essentials. All of that's transpiring right now. So in Weimar, Germany, middle-class professionals were hit hard by inflation. Veterans felt discarded.
Interesting.
Another parallel. Formerly dominant groups felt humiliated. And economic shocks were blamed on internal enemies. Also what's happening right now.
Interesting.
It's the Democrats, the other party. It's immigrants. They're taking your resources. They're taking your jobs, but also they're lazy. It's like, pick a fucking category. In the U.S. today, deindustrialization hollowed out entire regions. I mean, look at Detroit, for instance.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to say.
It's not deindustrialization necessarily. That's globalization. Yeah. That's moving the production of vehicles to other countries where it's cheaper, like Mexico.
Flint?
What's
Michigan?
that? Flint, Michigan. Yeah, completely gone. I mean, completely gone in the sense that it was a thriving Black middle class community when the auto industry was making cars there.
Who still don't have clean water.
Right. I know. Well, that's how we treat areas that are primarily dominated by low income and or people of color, right?
And still Native American. My mom was saying that they were delivering Costco water to one of the reservations because of there's just no clean water.
Oh, it's so sad. I'm still pissed at Obama for pulling that stunt with the water glass and saying the water's perfectly fine in Flint. It's like, Obama to me seems like a very...
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
wouldn't drink it, though. They're like, drink it. You wouldn't drink it.
That's like what Aaron Brockovich did to PG&E in the movie.
And it's like there was
this flown in from Burnley for you.
Totally. And there was a guy who was talking about Roundup. I think he was French, and he was sitting down with, I don't know, like the CEO of Roundup or whatever. This was years and years ago. And the Roundup dude kept insisting it's safe to drink. And he goes, I brought you a glass with Roundup in it, and I want you to drink it. And the guy walked out of the interview. Anyway, big digression to an extent. So housing, healthcare, and education costs exploded or have exploded. Many Americans feel their children will be worse off. I am very concerned. And we all know our favorite sociologist, Hannah Arendt, I hope I'm saying her name right, warned that mass movements thrive when people feel atomized. Am I saying that word right? Disposable and disconnected from power. Yeah. She's absolutely right. So economic anxiety alone doesn't produce fascism, but when paired with identity politics framed as existential, it becomes combustible. I keep referring to the U.S. right now as a fucking powder keg. Carolyn, can you speak to this in greater detail?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Economic instability isn't really just about money. Like, you definitely can talk this through, like, right? It's a threat to your survival, and it's your nervous system recognizing truly at a cellular level. When people lose their jobs, their homes, their sense that they can provide for their children, your nervous system is going to shift, as it should, into a defensive state so that you know, right? Like Maslow's hierarchy, if you don't have those things. And again, that's not a character flaw. That's just biology detecting danger. But here's what we often don't talk about. The reason economic threat feels so existential and in Western culture. So like, if you look at poverty in other nations, well, I have to be careful when I say this because it's all what's seen on documentary.
It sounds colonial, right? Like colonialism, or
when they've studied blue zones, and some documentaries on happiness, you've seen culturally that very, very what we would describe as poor are quite happy. They don't have depression. They don't have anxiety. Again,
they have community and family.
Right. Like, again, you only. So again,
we don't want to glorify.
I'm not right, but you know what I mean. Like, you know. I don't know. Anyway, I hear you. I don't know why I said that. So
I see what you're trying to say, and it makes sense. Okay. It's not all about, you need your basic needs met. And I think you're talking about regions where people's basic needs are met. And it's not that it's a developing nation. It's that they live simply.
Yes.
Yeah. And that there is a satisfaction.
And they're in community that also is simple.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get what you're trying to say.
So, I want to be very specific then that this feels like an existential threat in Western culture because colonialism deliberately destroyed the communal structures that would have buffered it. And I think you and I have also talked about this when you look at what the difference between 2014, 2016 and cell phones and that social isolation and that need to buy and be more part of that and what that's done in our minds. You can't have this conversation without factoring that in. All right. So Stephen Porges, again, scientist, anything you ever want to learn about polyvagal. Also, Deb Dana is a great one too, but I use his research a lot because he's done a lot of the research.
Okay.
His work emphasizes that co-regulation, basically what you and I are doing right now.
Yeah.
If you got really upset and scared, I actually probably would get upset and scared if you ever get that way.
Right.
Because I'd be like, oh, shit, Jen's picking up on something. It'd be weird if I didn't, right?
I teach that in my trauma-informed systems training about how human beings need one another.
Do.
We take care, we regulate. Unless you're wired differently, you need that.
Yep. Absolutely. So the nervous system regulating each other through safe social connection is that co-regulation. And colonialism and capitalism systematically, well, first of all, they saw that and they went, nope.
Disrupt.
Oh, y'all are dancing around in feathers. That's gay, right? In quotes, right? Like, that's not masculine. We got to get rid of this. So anyway, so it was systemically dismantled and the very systems designed for this, extended family networks, communal land ownership, matriarchal decision-making, collective child rearing through the ages, having your elderly be a part of that. Shared resources, indigenous cultures, native cultures, many African cultures.
Even European cultures.
For sure.
You mentioned the Blue Zone, Sardinia, dude.
Yep, this goes back. This is how ancient cultures, and then yes, there's always been feudal systems, right? But you can see that these societies had built-in economic interdependence. So when one family faced scarcity, the community absorbs the shock. And I think we can look at that on a really low level, like in our friend group. If one of us were going through something, we would all step in and say, hey, what do you need? Can I watch your kid? I'm going to bring a meal over. Let me do some grocery shopping with you. So, and if you don't have that, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people can't depend on that. So, colonialism replaced we survive together with for every family for itself. And stark individualism. And it replaced matriarchal communal care with patriarchal nuclear family. Really saw this again post-World War II. Really stepping in. Things, a lot of
Mad Men times.
Exactly. So, sorry, I lost my place. Interdependence with enforced isolation. And man, did the pandemic really, really nail that one in. But this isolation is a nervous system disaster. It's not good for us. So when we're facing economic precarity in a nuclear family, isolated from extended kin without collective resources, the nervous system is going to have no co-regulation buffer and there's no community to catch you. That's why economic anxiety hits so hard. No human can handle, no animal can handle scarcity. We are animals. Let's not forget that. But because we're supposed to handle it alone, we're just talking about this, people not sharing things because they're afraid it's going to be seen a certain way or it's embarrassing or it makes their ego look bad. All these different things. I do it too. It's biologically it's a normal thing to do, but it doesn't help your survival in certain ways. So these traditional values that white supremacists claim to defend, the isolated nuclear family, rugged individualism, masculinity, patriarchy, private ownership, those aren't traditional. Those are colonial. And they're structures that make you vulnerable in the first place. So here's where it gets weaponized, though. When that economic threat gets paired with those people are taking what's yours. When immigrants or blacks or Jews become, or Palestinians or queers or trans individuals get named as the enemy, you're creating a fused threat response. And our nervous system is already in that hyper-aroused state. We can't pay rent when we're isolated. And then someone hands you the target to blame. So that's what we kind of see with the Trump supporters, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, but don't you see that? But, you and I wouldn't adhere to that.
No.
Right.
And we know it's bullshit. And it's so fucking shocking to me how effective the anti-trans rhetoric is in creating a shared demon.
Hatred. Yeah.
We saw it within 2 weeks. 3 conservative people, 2 to my face, our face in one instance, and 1 via social media, all said crazy shit about trans people. I'm like, we are in a situation where people can't afford to buy basics. The cost of everything keeps going up. Wages aren't keeping up. And y'all are worried about fewer than 1% of the population who statistically don't fucking hurt anybody and just want to live. I'm like, wow, that is effective and scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These poor people.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, it's not economics, right? We're not talking about economics anymore. We're talking about racism.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you call it? Phobia. Well, xenophobia, right? Yeah. Is that what you would call it?
Xenophobia is the immigrant thing.
Okay.
But I think it goes.
What do you call, what's the liberal elite word for hating a population though?
Oh.
Just for being who they are. Is there a word for that?
What's the word for that? It's all connected to, whatever the population is.
You're an asshole. I like that one. All right. So this is the pattern. Isolated people facing real economic precarity, nervous system screaming danger, no communal co-regulation, and political leaders who go, it's not the system. It's these people who don't belong. Yeah. And, again, notice it's never the solution isn't let's rebuild community structures. Let's share resources. Let's return to interdependence. Lack of communal stamina is something I want to talk about too. It's the capacity our ancestors had to weather threats collectively. And we're severed from that. And white supremacy tells people that the solution is more isolation, more individualism, more bootstrap mentality. And it's mythology. Yeah. And it makes us more vulnerable, more reactive, more manipulative. Not us, but not any of our listeners, I don't believe. But, so we're stuck in repetition compulsion, unconsciously recreating patterns that lead to catastrophes. And America has never reckoned with slavery, genocide, legal white supremacy that Nazis studied. And we're never reckoned with how colonialism destroyed the communal, often matriarchal structures. We keep rebuilding isolation and calling it freedom. Yeah. We keep having competition and calling it success, scarcity mindset and calling it realism. Yeah. And generation after generation convinced it's something different. This isn't who we are, but it is who we are.
Isn't it scary to think that Hitler was so enamored with our systems of segregation and Jim Crow that he was like taking fucking notes? Yep. Well, Jim Crow hadn't started.
Jim Crow.
Oh, yeah, Jim Crow. Yeah, it had.
They were like, how'd you keep races from intermarrying? Yep. How'd you make that legal?
Yeah, laws.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I worry. Look at what we're so stuck in, how legislation prevents so many judicial and executive things from going certain directions.
Well, I mean, the system is designed in such a way that you're supposed to have these checks and balances. And as far as I'm concerned, you're supposed to be able to modify the Constitution. It should be an evolving document. At the same time, the weaponization of the Constitution to codify racism and sexism and all these things, like enshrining them, but then using the very same document to undo them. Yeah. It is utterly fascinating.
Well, and not including science and what we know that, saying, the victim didn't remember. Right. So then they're lying. Yeah. It's like, no, you go into appeasement or you go into fight or flight and you shut down. So it makes sense that they can't, so that's what I meant by the way we in a judicial system decide on how something looks to the public and who goes free, who's guilty, who's not guilty. Right. It's not up to date.
No, it's not. It's not. And a lot of it is theater and the criminal justice system and who can spin the most compelling argument. And it's really interesting.
I blame OJ for that.
I do too. I'm listening to a fascinating podcast right now about the Martha Moxley murder. I'm trying to remember.
That name sound familiar?
Oh my God, why can't I think? But anyway, Martha Moxley was killed in Connecticut, very, very wealthy area. The guy who got convicted was a Kennedy cousin, Michael Skakel.
God damn Kennedy.
There's really, I know, but there's really no evidence.
Is it called Certain Dead?
No.
Dead Certain?
Dead Certain. It's called Dead Certain. I highly recommend it. Mark Furman is in it. That's my full circle moment with you mentioning the OJ trial. And a lot of it is tied to that kind of performative stuff that we saw during the OJ trial.
Also racism.
Right. Totally. We've done an episode on OJ, but we need to do an episode about the trial, because I think people really need, so many people, white people in particular, are like, I don't understand how that jury could have let him go. There was so much overwhelming evidence without taking into consideration, right? But without taking it into consideration, the social and political climate of the moment, which is still our social and political climate, right? Right after Rodney King. Mark Furman caught saying the N-word over and over again, talking about planting fucking evidence on Black folks. That would give me pause.
Yes. Well, and Rodney King, which was also, might as well just put ICE uniforms on the police at that point.
Right.
Government sanctioned. It's okay to beat up a Black person.
Right.
It's okay to George Floyd.
Right.
Let's go back even further. Emmett Till. There's never been a time in America, and that's, what was the movie I was just talking about? That
One Battle After Another.
One Battle After Another. We're only an hour in, but what I'm getting is the Mexicans that are in that movie are like, yeah, we know how to do this.
Right.
Like,
we've been under attack forever.
Y'all white people are worried about this?
Right.
Well, your privilege is showing.
Welcome to the party, bitch. And that is the biggest takeaway.
Oh, it's illegal?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Bitch, it's been happening to us for centuries. Where y'all been?
Yep. The law is not a factor. And the law is, in fact, used to oppress.
I'm not minimizing what's happening to anyone.
Of course not.
But the TikTok joke is, anyone of color kind of sitting in there and then they're like, oh yeah, this happened. Like, yeah, what else is there? Like, no, it's a white person. Oh shit, it's a white person.
Well, that we're seeing too play out right now. Yeah. Like the two most prominent people who have been shot, Renee Good and Alex Peretti, two white people. And I think that's why people are pearl clutching. They're like, wait, they're after us. And it's like, you dummies. Yes. Did you think that they were going to solely go after people of color? They are primarily going after people of color, but we're not safe either.
No,
and that's the lesson that we keep. And people like us keep trying to teach. First, they came for the ... You are not safe. This illusion of safety because you are white is privilege. A myth. Yeah. Is a privilege, and it's mythical. Yes. Especially in this administration. Yep. So let's talk about the myth, another myth, the myth of the real nation, end quotes. So one of the most dangerous ideas in Nazi ideology was the claim that some citizens were more authentically German than others. Sound familiar? Nazis didn't initially abolish citizenship. They redefined who counted. Oh, let's get rid of the clause in the 14th Amendment that allows for birthright citizenship. Yep. Oh, you're trying to legally get your citizenship here? You've done everything right? We're going to arrest you when you go to court for your scheduled appointment. We're redefining what this looks like. It's happening right now. So in the U.S., we're seeing echoes of it, but not the equivalent, not necessarily. What you said, political leaders being Trump, describing opponents as vermin, traitors, enemies within. Citizenship is rhetorically tied to ethnicity, religion, or ideology. Loyalty to a leader is framed as loyalty to a nation. ICE, again, chasing down anybody who looks brown, but also no one's safe. Historian George Moss emphasized that fascism works by turning politics into identity theater where belonging matters more than law. Once politics becomes about who belongs rather than what the rules are about, democratic norms erode quickly. So let's talk about the delegitimization of institutions that we are seeing right in front of us, and that also happened in Weimar Germany. So Weimar Germany didn't fall because institutions vanished. It fell because people stopped believing in them. Courts, elections, media, civil service were portrayed as corrupt, rigid, controlled by shadowy elites. again, the familiarity can't be lost.
No.
In the U.S. today, elections are preemptively labeled fraudulent.
Yep.
Judges are dismissed as partisan. Civil servants are framed as enemies. Look at how many of us have been just unceremoniously fired. Journalism is treated as treason.
Yeah.
This is not unique to the U.S., but is historically significant. As political scientist Juan Linz warned, democracies die when opposition becomes illegitimate, not merely wrong. Paramilitary culture and normalized political violence. Let's talk about this too. Before Nazis seized power, violence was already super normalized. There were street clashes between the SA, known as the brown shirts, now ICE, communists, police forces aligned with political factions. Violence created a sense that democracy couldn't maintain any order and that strongman rule was necessary. In the U.S., we're not quite there yet, but we've got all these warning signs, right? Armed political intimidation, political violence reframed as patriotism, threats against election workers and officials. So, Carolyn, I read a quote that says democracy depends on losing being survivable. When losing feelings existential, when losing feels existential, violence becomes justified. Tell us more about this.
I love how we're talking so much about existential too.
I know, look how philosophical we are today.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, political opponents. Yeah, this is what happens when politics becomes fused with identity and survival. Which, how could it not? Like, right? Like intersectionality is everything, right? To us, not to them. That word is.
They don't even know what the fuck that means. Yeah.
Did you ever see Transparent? Remember Transparent?
Yeah.
When one of the characters she's like, intersectional. Oh, I'm bored. I can't even finish the word. She's getting her degree or something. I don't know. It's a very funny scene.
I love that too, because it is such a critique on higher education and like how we get so immersed in these words and like
it's ecosystems. So you look at nature, like you can't talk about the fish if you're not talking about the pond and the food and all.
You have to speak a certain language.
Everything is systems. Though,
which
I love.
Human beings, we have to categorize stuff.
We are systemic. Yeah. Everything fits in its place and works a certain way.
My 2 milligrams of THC
By the way,
is kicking in.
I am so cold. I have goose things. I'm so cold.
I'll get you. We're doing a double header today, guys.
I'm gonna need some heat.
So I'll get you. I have another heating pad.
I'm cold.
I have a guest heating pad.
Talking
I got
about intersectionality makes me
cold all the time.
I think it probably doesn't help that I'm drinking that.
Yes.
All right. So anyway. So your political opponents aren't just people who disagree with you. They're vermin. They're traitors. It's an existential threat to the real Americans. And you and I have to kind of define like, no, we are the real Americans.
Right. We're the patriots.
We're the patriots. Yeah. You're not. So when their victory doesn't mean different policies, but the end of your world, what the quote you just mentioned captures something really profound, I think, about nervous system regulation and democracy. So in a functional democracy, tell me if this is true. Functional democracy, your candidate loses. Your nervous system can still tolerate it.
Right.
In your opinion, have you ever seen a president that has had the effect on the country the way Trump has?
In regard to
maybe
trying
Obama.
To delegitimize elections, or just
in the sense of that, like my nervous system could tolerate if. Well, see that like Bush got elected, but I didn't think the world was going to fall apart. I don't think I remember feeling that way.
No, but I can't speak from a Republican perspective in regard to like a black man winning.
Yeah.
Not to imply that all Republicans are racist. I guess I have to say that, but like, you know.
But normally a president it's like a boss being brought into a company doesn't mean the whole company is going to fail, but it still doesn't mean you're not wrong for having something that's, you might be disappointed, you might be angry,
right? But
your body kind of still knows like, hey, it should all still be okay.
Right. And we have these checks and balances,
right?
You know?
Right. And my children are still safe. I'll survive again. Right. This is very white of us saying this, but when your nervous system perceives losing to a threat to survival, you genuinely believe the wrong outcome means your destruction. You're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
And again, it's self-defense and it's taking you out of a place of feeling safe. So if we take what's so insidious here is that for some people, this fear is actually manufactured. And that's what you see in Nazi Germany. That's what you see in America. It's accurate. But here's something clinically true that we have to sit with. Like I said, you and I have kind of reiterated this many times, but let's say it again for the people in the back who still can't hear it. LGBTQ+. immigrants, people of color, disabled folks, when they say this election is existential, they're not being dramatic. And their nervous system is actually reading genuine threats to their safety, their family, their right to exist in a public space. That's not fragility. That's not being a snowflake. That's accurate threat detection.
Literally life and death for them.
Yes. And it's neuroception means it's working correctly. And so when people, particularly white Christian nationalists, and also anyone who votes for Trump or is in part of Project 2025. So yeah, literally any white person claims they're facing an existential threat from diversity, from immigration, from trans kids existing. That's manufactured crisis. And white fragility weaponized into white victimhood. So have you read D'Angelo's, not the song, the White Fragility?
Oh, no, but I've read pieces of it. Yeah.
Yeah, great book. So her research shows that white people experience challenges to their radical worldview as attacks on their moral character. And we're taught racists are bad people and no, I'm a good white person. Right. Okay, well, don't say that. Therefore, it can't be racist. When someone suggests, I take this off, it keeps banging. When someone suggests we benefit from a racist system, our nervous system reacts as if we're being called evil. Yeah. You've also taught this as well, like having the group call you in. So when you conceive a population in that their dominance, aka white narcissism, and I love that racism is now just called white narcissism.
That's great.
Have you heard that?
No, but I love that.
I didn't come up with that. Challenges equals basically being challenged equals their destruction. You create conditions for violence. Clinically, I see this constantly. Someone who is never actually abandoned becomes convinced that any boundary is abandonment. Someone who never actually, someone never actually, how did I write that? Someone never actually felt unsafe becomes hypervigilant to perceived threats. We call it a manipulation of threat detection. Okay. So the nervous system gets stuck where basically you see danger everywhere.
They're probably inundated with news and
remember the first Hairspray? Yes. Do you remember Penny Pingleton's mom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's manipulation, maladaptive threat detection. I don't know. I think I'm going to say manipulative threat detection. Yeah. Just like that, like white lady who's like, oh my God, like I can't, like everything's scary. It's like, everybody's out to get me.
Up. Yeah. Yeah.
The collective, we have generations of white Americans whose nervous system has been conditioned to experience any challenge to white narcissism, aka supremacy, as alienation, not because they had not a bad person, because this is what the system taught them too. Research on intergenerational trauma shows that unresolved past is destiny. If you're not reading any of these books written by Black authors, you probably should. Yeah. I'm going to shame you as a white person if you have not read at least one of the books that came out in the recent past 10 years.
Yep. They do apply to you.
And believe it or not, all the ones that came out in the 60s and 70s also apply to you.
Right.
So again, cultural compulsion to repeat what's not spoken or named is also really problematic. So anyway, long story short, until we can collectively regulate our nervous systems enough to tolerate losing, tolerate sharing power, and tolerate being uncomfortable, democracy won't survive. I think South Park did an episode on this.
I'm sure they did.
The Museum of Tolerance.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they define this definition between acceptance and tolerance. And I say this a lot to couples too, where it's like, hey, you can categorically think I'm wrong. Yeah. Or your partner is wrong. But as a human being, you have to see that something about this content is causing them to suffer. And 9 times out of 10, that has nothing to do with the dishes in the sink. Yeah. There's a meaning in that may have been there. It might also be your fault, like do the dishes. But there's something else there. And if you're not going to at least look at them as a human, that, hey, you're having a hard time at this. Yeah. You're not tolerate. You have to at least tolerate.
Got it.
Yeah. Right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I can tell you from the perspective of a woman, it's not that my husband doesn't help. He's wonderful. But when I come home, like I did yesterday, and like the dishes aren't done, and I just spent 4 hours volunteering at my kid's school, that's the breaking point. Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, it is about the dishes, but it's also about, I just came from an event where I had to volunteer with 2 other moms, and we always end up having to shoulder the work because other parents don't show up. And when other parents do show up, let me tell you, more often than not, it's the mom.
Always. Yeah.
So with me in that moment is not just the immediate factor of there being dirty dishes, but also the pain of my ancestors, being women who've always had to fucking clean up after everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, hopefully producer Bill doesn't hear that part.
You're very psychologically flexible, Jen.
I really try. I do. At least I'm flexible on something. So, all right. So this is, hopefully we're going to give you some hope. We're going to try to feel hopeful too here. This is where the comparison breaks down a little bit between the US and Nazi Germany. So key differences, we have a much older constitutional tradition. We're the oldest democracy right now. We have federalism dispersing power. We have independent states and courts. We have a diverse, pluralistic society. We have a professional military with strong civilian norms. It's going to be interesting / scary. Hold on, I need some water. I had one of these 2 milligram THC, 4 milligram CBD. And the cotton mouth I'm experiencing is intense.
Yeah.
Bill's has his work cut out for him on the editing tip. Anyway, so, it's going to be interesting to see what transpires in Minneapolis, I was going to say, because now the National Guard has been deployed, the state National Guard, and is there to protect people from federal agents. That's like a recipe for some Civil War shit right there.
I think that's my fear, is that my future father-in-law's fear as well. I was like, this is a test ground for what is everyone going to do? Yeah.
Well, a really prominent, Bill sent it to me, a really prominent political scientist who participated in a study of what it would look like for a civil war to foment in the United States. Her and the other folks that she did this with are like, Minneapolis, this is exactly what we wrote about. These are the test conditions. Yeah. These are that could give way to a full-blown civil war. That scares the shit out of me.
Well, and you talk to anyone from a country that has gone through this in the last 50 years, and they're also saying the same thing. You talk to anyone from Latin America, you talk to anyone from different parts of Asia. Yeah. They've been through this. They've seen this. This is not unfamiliar.
Because our democracy is almost 250 years old. Do you know how old Germany's democracy was when Hitler came to power? 14 years. So it had only survived for 14 years. So historical analogies are tools, not verdicts. Hopefully we're not condemned. The danger is not that history repeats exactly. The danger is that we ignore its early warnings. It can happen here or it can be stopped. So author Sinclair Lewis famously wrote, "When fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross." Oh, I just got chills. Yeah. Fucking scary. So whether or not that prophecy proves true depends on a few things. Civic engagement. We beat you over the head with this, y'all. Civic engagement at the local level. You can do something, and you don't have to put yourself in danger to contribute to the effort. Institutional integrity. To an extent. I mean, this is where...
Depends which institution, right?
Right now, I think it is... We are seeing the federal court system, at least, stand up. And the integrity of that institution, not across the board, but we're seeing some really great rulings in regard to Trump trying to amass executive power, You know what
it reminds me of, though? What? It's like when a woman gets a restraining order.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fucking piece of paper.
Yes. Well, there's always going to be the Supreme Court who could overturn what a lower court does. And with the Supreme Court's composition right now, I don't trust them at all.
But look at what's happening in a bathroom in a nightclub.
What's happening in a bathroom in a nightclub? Say more about that. Well, it's been a while since I've been to a nightclub.
If I'm a queer person or a transgender person, doesn't give a shit what the Supreme Court says.
Yeah. Well, that's more like schools and places like that, right? Where,
like, I have this, I hate to be, sorry, I hate to be the, like, I don't fucking trust any, like, so who cares?
Yeah.
And when I see that quote, when did Sinclair write that?
I don't know.
So fascism already was in America, and it was the KKK.
Yeah.
wrapped in a white flag and a fucking cross.
They got a pass.
Comes to America. When did he write that? I'm wondering, like...
I'm curious. I think that's valid to ask when he wrote that.
What do you mean when?
Yeah.
Hasn't it always been?
I think so. I think so.
Not for white people.
Look at the Klan, adopting the cross as their image.
And where'd the Klan come from?
They came from slave owners, and that.
Yes. So this all goes back. It's the museums that talk about Black history. It always starts off with these thriving cultures in Africa, India, trading, working together.
Yeah.
And then someone said, how can we manipulate this?
Oh, yeah.
And that's white supremacy born.
Not just how can we manipulate this, how can we make money off these people?
Yeah.
How can we do less and make more?
Yeah.
How can we make sure that dark-skinned people do all of the fucking manual labor? And we're sitting up there in the big house, rich.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that.
I know.
White people have always exploited people who are darker than them.
Yep.
When I'm going to say this, not with absolute certainty, but I have a feeling, just based on what I have studied, lots of cultures have prioritized lighter skin.
Oh,
and I think obviously that's with the introduction of familiarity at minimum with European peoples and maybe some internalized oppression and seeing them as superior. And so those attributes within your own culture, you start to assign privilege to the people who have those whiter attributes. Like, I don't know, but
I wish I could go back to school.
Me too.
It's all fascinating.
I wish I had time for that.
Sorry,
anyway.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. And you know, I would say being cynical is important. We have a shared commitment to rules over outcomes. A lot of us do.
Yeah.
It's not universal. So you've listened to this episode. You sat with the uncomfortable truth that American racism was the Nazi blueprint. Mm-hmm. You felt your nervous system react.
I did.
Carolyn wrote this. Now what, Carolyn? Tell us what the clinical truth is.
Pattern recognition without action is intellectual masturbation.
Yeah.
Best sentence I've ever written. Patterns. And it's funny, I was going to do a post about this. Just knowing what a pattern is does nothing for you. If the behavior, women in particular love doing this. Well, why does he do this? And I don't understand. Help me understand. Behavior. Yeah. You talk in one hand, action in the other. Let's see which one fills up first.
Right.
So every action without nervous system regulation is performative chaos, and it burns me the fuck out. Burns all of us out. This isn't a moment. It's a commitment, and we have to start today, and we have to start in our bodies and in our homes and in our communities. History will repeat itself. What did I say? History doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes.
Oh, yeah.
I think ChatGPT might have wrote that for me. As we choose, again, we are either choosing to keep singing the same song or say, let's do it different. Yeah. And if you're not making that choice, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You're clinical.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah. So, the vital thought here really is that Nazi Germany teaches us that democracy doesn't die screaming. It dies shrugging one norm at a time. And history doesn't ask us to panic. As you said, it asked us to pay attention, not just pay attention, but take action.
Yeah, action.
See something, do something. And so even if doing something is having a dialogue with a member of your family
that's
who
so
doesn't
cool.
see the danger, it makes a huge difference. Like me having a dialogue with that plumber about trans folks and coming to some sort of understanding that, I don't know, they're human beings and don't deserve to be treated like shit. Like that's a big moment. It's something.
It's something.
It's a many little actions that foment in the big actions that generate and provide the catalyst for change.
Well done. Well said.
That's it. So never underestimate your contributions, as small as they may be. It is your actions are lending themselves to a snowball effect that will hopefully work in our favor as people who love freedom and democracy and are the true patriots.
I choose to feel that way. It's too upsetting to think the other.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, everybody, go to TikTok right now. If you're not already following us, fucking do it. We're TWATJC. That's twat JC. We're on other fucking platforms as well.
We're on Instagram. I don't think we're on Facebook. We might go on Substack.
Maybe. And we tried Blue Sky. I think it needs more traction.
If someone knows how to merge all these videos we make.
I know. Well, so far it's been really great when we make our videos for our podcast to use Opus clips.
Yeah.
Because we can just shoot them off to all of the platforms that we're on, including YouTube. Please follow us on YouTube, you guys. YouTube is a fucking dark, dirty place filled with MAGA and bots and weird shit. So we need some support there. So yeah, The World According to Jen and Carolyn.
Yeah.
On YouTube. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll be coming at you with a much lighter episode, kind of, next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.